Extra Minutes.
Colleen, how would you describe your son?
James is a very genuine person, very enthusiastic, honest, loving, considerate, a very good son and very good brother, wonderful grandson.
Yeah, always up for a joke, maybe even a prank. So no, he's always, he's good.
So how do you feel about the situation he finds himself in now?
Oh, I feel lots of different things. Very angry, very sad. It's been quite devastating in lots of ways to sit back and watch him the last couple of years go from a very confident young man to someone who's often looks quite haunted. That's been difficult to see.
Guarded, where he would
guarded.
be more open normally.
Yeah.
When James told you he was going to work for Peter Slipper, how did you feel about that?
Well, naturally we were pleased. We were very proud. But I must admit I was a little bit surprised as well. With all due respect to James, he's got great people skills, great communicator, wonderful marketing ideas, but he didn't have any formal qualifications, and that just struck me as strange that a man in Peter Slipper's position would chase him for such an important job.
When James did tell us, we said, great, sounds like a great opportunity. But even when Colleen and I were alone together, we sort of questioned, without saying it to James, because we didn't want to say, why would he want you, type thing. But we said, I wonder why.
But you weren't thinking the worst at that point.
No,
you were just wondering.
Lord,
just thought.
To
be honest, I thought James has talked himself into a good spot there, type thing. Which he's capable of doing.
When did you realise, though, that something wasn't quite right?
I think for me, it was very early in the piece. I think James started before Christmas, about 2011. It was only in January, so it happened quite quickly. It was just a subtle change, but I can remember to begin with, James would say, Pete this, or Pete said that, or Pete wants to do this. And then it would be Peter. It became a little bit more formal. And then within probably 2 or 3 weeks, it was Slipper. Slipper wants me to do this, or I've got to do this for Slipper. And I can remember looking at him thinking, is everything all right? Yeah, it's fine. Look, I run a mile from confrontation. When James first said that this can't continue, and I could see in his mannerisms he was nervous. With a lot of hand movements, this can't continue. I'm going to have to do something. I made it quite clear, but it wasn't stopping.
What had James told you was going on?
He was getting text messages, and James wasn't willing to play the game. He had made that quite clear.
And now that you do know the whole story, I'm assuming, how does that make you feel?
I look at it this way. Peter Slipper is a family man. He's a solicitor. He's a barrister. He's a member of Parliament. He became Speaker of the House. He's also an ordained minister of the Church of England. It wouldn't matter which cap he decided to put on, any of those positions should have told him that what he was doing was unacceptable. I can't believe that a man of any one of those positions continued to harass someone who was obviously not interested.
As his dad, did you feel angry?
Well, at the time, I don't know whether angry. I just, it sort of went quick, downhill that quickly that there probably wasn't enough time for reactions like that. And it got to the point where Peter Slipper had made it clear that James can't communicate with him. He has to go through someone else. And I said, but aren't you his advisor? How are you going to... You can't do your job. Mm. And that's, that's when it went completely, downhill. And
how was it at its worst, this saga, if you like?
Probably the most difficult times have been watching him struggle, his mental state. I lost my youngest brother to suicide many years ago, so we are very aware of how devastating depression can be. So this was not an empty threat for us. Our family has all been very vigilant. We often get phone calls from our daughters or from my dad or Darryl's dad, listen, we've just had a chat with James, he's not good. So to be battle stations, give him a phone call, get him over, spend the night, stay for dinner.
Do you believe he reached a point where he could have taken his life?
I don't want to believe.
No, I believe he'd be stronger than that, but but the stress levels were real and there.
If you saw Peter Slipper, that's possible, what might you say to him?
An apology would go a long way to forgiving what's happened. I think an apology would go a long way for James as well. I want the Australian people to know that he told the truth.